Shalom, my name is Yehoshua Yaakov ben Avraham, and this video is from Jerusalem. It's named The Jerusalem Agent of Change. That's me. And it refers to my work, which is Humanomics in general, and its two paradigms receiving given the integration of labor. Specifically, the most, probably the event that will mark the century is the most significant change of the century past, and perhaps even the one present and future. The collapse of the local reality. It was first observed unknowingly by this, I'm a didactic scientist, that's a fancy word for self-trained, self-educated in a number of disciplines. I first observed the phenomenon on February 26th, 1991, and that was the time that the American Allied forces went and chased Saddam out of Kuwait and scorched the earth of the column that was returning to Baghdad with all of its booty. Basically, that was the beginning of the invasion of Iraq that brought about some 12 years later the collapse of its local reality, which was the despot Saddam Hussein and the end of his reign. The rest is history. So the collapse of the local reality, that's a term in physics, and if you collapse the local reality, you have the quantum reality. So the local reality is galut, is exile, and the quantum reality is redemption. And in physics, it's the quantum reality and the local reality. Okay, so we have a science, we have a religious and a science definition. Okay, so let's move on. The same year, in 1991, on December the 25th, in the Soviet Union, communism collapsed. And it went little noticed, having to do with the analogy of the collapse of the local reality. But the local reality in the Soviet Union at the time of the collapse of communism, that was its local reality, communism. A lot of denial since, and Putin is a revisionist, and he's determined to say it's not so and continue the denial. But the Russian people and the world know better. That said, the collapse of the local reality next visited Israel in 1995, November the 5th with the murder of Rabin, and subsequently the collapse of the local reality in Israel. What's the local reality? Zionism. A lot of denial here too. No, it is not so. It hasn't collapsed. It's business as usual. Well, okay. And then on 9/11, which was September the 11th, 2001. The collapse of the Twin Towers in New York was the watershed event that revealed to us the confirmation, the historical confirmation of events of the collapse of the local reality, specifically the collapse of the Twin Towers, and its meaning is the klipa of man's exile from himself, his authentic self, and from God. He created in his mind a duality. In our tradition, we call it the Segula Bikira. He created an impersonator self in his mind of that duality, and that's the root of the exiled. The meta-rational, there's the official narrative of the event of 9/11, which is hijacking of the planes, they crashed into the towers, they collapsed, etc. Then there's the meta narrative, and that's what I've just given over. The meta-narrative, the grammar of the meta-narrative is the meaning, is the collapse of man's klipa of exile that the Twin Towers symbolized, and his avarice and his greed for the material, the possessions of the world, which are the kesef, the Twin Towers, the silver, his pursuit of, his blind pursuit and self-aggrandizement of wealth and material possessions and the like. So these Twin Towers, the grammar was, that's the meaning, the end of man's exile from his authentic self and from God. Subsequently, the grammar of the meta-narrative was confirmed on December 26, 2004 with tsunami. And the grammar of that is that man is not in his place. And and that redemption is next, and it's not an option, not for anyone, and it's for all mankind. We've had since the collapse of the local reality in Lebanon, and in a number of other places with the murder, the assassination of Rafik Hariri, and a number of other places around the globe. The collapse of the local reality will spread around the globe. So the question is, what is the generic definition of the local reality that makes it common to all mankind? And that's a very good question, and only science can answer that. If you follow the problems for 30 or 40 years, as I have, you get the help of heaven. And I did, Baruch Hashem, and the answer is giving to receive. The anthropological, sociological, psychological model of the organization of society around the globe was giving to receive. That's the local reality class. It's a common denominator of all of these. Communism was built on it. The despot in Baghdad was built on it. Communism was built on it. Zionism was built on it. Capitalism was built on it. Communism, socialism, all were built on giving to receive. That's the local reality. It has collapsed. And it's going to collapse everywhere on the globe. On the psycholinguistic, cognitive, behavioral, psychosocial levels, those are the four primary levels that, hope I get my four, yeah, okay. Those are the four levels, okay, which it has collapsed on and will continue to collapse on. So that's the meaning of Yehoshua Yaakov is the Jerusalem agent of change. Because the question next arises, now that we know what the common denominator of the local reality is collapsed, we now have to know, so what replaces it? Okay, my life's work, Baruch Hashem replaces it. It's Humanomics in general. And receiving to give in the integration of labor. The latter two paradigms, receiving to give, is the new cognitive science first principle, which is the central organizing principle of Humanomics. And integration of labor is the new economic paradigm that replaces the old industrial model of the division of labor, which identifies information as a new agent of transformation. So Yehoshua is the Jerusalem agent of transformation. You've met him. It's not a boast, it's not a brag, it's just what is. There's much more to be given over, but for now, let that suffice. And let us be prepared and expect a lot of change globally. Around the globe, and let's not be surprised by it, and let's not be afraid of the future. And let me say just one more thing. In Israel, the collapse of the local reality was Zionism, and what replaces it is Humanomics. There's just one problem in the spiritual religious community. We understand that there's a problem, and that is that we're not inhabiting the quantum reality. We're not inhabiting redemption. But we're not in exile anymore. So there's a discontinuity function. And so we have to answer that question. The question, why? And so man and mankind in Cloud Israel is blocked by our denial of the collapse of the local reality. And in Israel, what is particular is its Zionism. We have to end that denial. And we have to next deconstruct the rubble of ground zero. We have to deprogram the mind of exile, and that will allow us to restore our authentic, with the help of heaven, restore our authentic self, and heal and inhabit redemption, inhabit the quantum reality. That's the story, folks, and what you see is what you get. Used to be a baseball cap. I never could hit a curveball, so I guess Kodesh Baruch Hu spared me the embarrassments of all of the times I'd be striking out with the great curveball pitchers that they have in the major leagues. So he brought me up to Jerusalem and said, "We'll get you to throw some fastballs." Anyway, I can't fix this skip on my head properly, but anyway, thank you for listening, and stay tuned. There's going to be lots more videos and blogs and explanations and blessings, and we thank you for listening.